everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make the ketchup using the fresh tomatoes. This year, as usual, I grew quite a bit of tomatoes, so I have so many of them. Then I started to make different things that I can store for winter. So ketchup is one of them. I know that most people like to use a ketchup using the Roma or a little bit thicker tomato, but it's okay. You can use any kind of tomato. You just need to cook it down to the consistency that you like. So I'll show you how to use these big tomatoes to make ketchup. So the way I start is to cut these tomatoes into half because I want to take the seeds out a bit, right? You don't have to worry about it if there's some left, because some people like to strain them. I don't like to do that. I'm just going to make it simple and easy, so I don't want to strain. So I'm going to take the seeds out a bit and then cut. So when I cut it, I'm going to cut this part out and this part out, and then cut into a chunk, like chunks, right? So now, I have already cut quite a bit of tomatoes, and they are right here. And I'm going to prepare the spice pack. I use the fresh bay leaves because I have a fresh plant. It is actually really awesome to have a fresh bay leaves because this is much better than the dry ones. So I'm using the fresh ones, and I'm putting some cinnamon stick. I cut them in half, and then I also am putting a little bit of peppers, just like this. Again, they are from my garden, the dry ones. And then I think I'm going to put one more, and then I'm going to put a little bit of celery seeds that I collected last year. I actually have enough for another batch. And then I'm going to throw a little bit of cloves in it. I'll make it a little bit spicy, so it's going to taste good. Then I'm going to pack and then wrap. Tie with this string. So I'm going to cook. What I'm going to add is I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of salt. I will start to cook. I'm not going to put the sugar yet. I will put the sugar when I cook after I blended this one. So the process is going to be, I'm going to cook this in the pot for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take it out and I'm going to blend it in the blender, and I'm going to cook another 30 minutes and add the sugar at that point. Otherwise, if you put the sugar early, it becomes really thick and it's hard to control the the boiling and messy. So I'm going to cook that. So now that I have done the half an hour cooking, I am ready to grind them in the blender. So I'm just going to grind, and then I will set it to puree to make sure that all a little bit of leftover seeds are going to be all grinded. So I got a one batch. What I am doing is I put only about half of the blender to make sure that the whole thing gets really grinded. If you put too full, it does not grind very well. So let me do one more time. Okay, now I am done. Now I have already grinded all my cooked tomatoes that I had cooked for about half an hour. I'm going to put it back on the stove with the sugar added. So right now what I did was I added about 1 cup of brown sugar. When you add the sugar, you know, it becomes a little bit liquidy. So I'll continue to cook. What I will do is I will continue to cook and then taste and see if I like to add more sugar, because it's going to be cooked down a little bit. It's going to be a little bit thicker, and I want to make sure that I don't put too much sugar in. At this point, if you think that you want to add a little bit more spice, you can put the spice back again, put a new one and add more. But for me, I'm good with this amount of spice, with this amount of ketchup. So, okay, all right, so I'm going to go and cook for about maybe another 15 or 20 minutes more. And then if I need it, I will probably cook up to 30 minutes, because now I have to cook a little slow, because if I cook or a little you know, at the low heat, if I cook too high of a heat, it's going to boil and it's going to be a mess. So I'm going to cook slow, and maybe about 20 minutes, you know, or maybe up to 30 minutes, depending on how thick it gets. So the reason that I don't have a fixed recipe is depending on your tomato and the acidity of the tomatoes. You want to put your spice accordingly. You want to add a little bit more, you want to add a little bit less. So you start with a little bit less, and then if you want, you can add more. But sugar, definitely, I'm going to cook, and then I'll taste, and if I think I need more, I'll add more. All right, so let me go cook. This is it. I actually canned my homemade ketchup using the fresh tomatoes. I cooked about 30 more minutes, maybe 25 minutes to get it to this consistency. I have a recipe at the bottom of this video. Please like and subscribe. That will help my channel grow. And have fun.